Do you think about wisdom much? I do. I think, second only to love and discernment, wisdom is tremendously important to have. And without it, life is extremely challenging. I know this because I didn't possess wisdom for the majority of my life. And not having this incredibly valuable resource is more of a detriment, in my opinion, than lacking for almost anything else in life. In other words, you can overcome so many obstacles if only you possess this singular resource, wisdom. That's what it's all about. The importance of wisdom, the purpose of having it, and exactly what having it looks like in your life, in my life. That's the idea I want to contemplate with you today while I paint this gorgeous reference photo. Another one that came from one of my Pinterest boards. Okay, that out of the way now, let's talk wisdom. Where does it come from? I mean, information and knowledge can come from anywhere and everywhere. But wisdom? That's a whole different animal. It doesn't just come from anywhere. It can't. The word wisdom has more synonyms, words like discernment, insight, acumen, and clear-sightedness, and antonyms, words like foolishness, simple-mindedness, irrationality, unsoundness, and stupidity, than actual specific definitions, which is interesting. Some define wisdom as an accumulated philosophical or scientific learning, like knowledge, and yet others see it as a belief or maybe teachings of ancient wise people. You can see the word is almost as difficult to define as it is to obtain, at least in my opinion. Another question about this word is, how important is the source of the wisdom? And what happens in our lives if perhaps the place we're sourcing our wisdom from isn't as pure or as healthy as we might have liked? As you'll see in my upcoming story, I believe it's everything. The source determines whether it's fallible wisdom or truth. In order to tell this story, I need to take you back to the 80s, the good old era of big hair and bigger dreams for single moms who thought they had it made. Yeah, they had to work hard and their kids had to come home to an empty house, but it was all worth it, wasn't it? And I was one of those latchkey kids. In my youth, my mother was excellent at caring for my physical needs. She protected me from being crushed by oncoming traffic through frequently reinforcing that it's best to, look both ways before crossing the street, as well as the importance of always wiping front to back in order to prevent infection. But when it came to understanding the reasons behind the actions of others, behind the behaviors of others, and knowing how to process and respond to said actions, she was kind of unclear. In my youth, my mother was excellent at caring for my physical needs. However, imparting wisdom, in the truest sense of the word, was definitely lacking. In fact, it was often me as a teen taking on the role of guiding my mom through her life decisions according to whatever sort of basic understandings of life I had managed to accumulate. So where did I ultimately accumulate said wisdom? What do latchkey kids do with their abundant, unsupervised hours from school getting out until bedtime? We watched TV. We watched movies. And we listened to the radio. From age 9 through adulthood, I watched and rewatched 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club, On Golden Pond, Terms of Endearment, Top Gun, Singles, Parenthood, and most any other movie created between the late 70s and the mid 90s, probably 350 times. Actually, Terms of Endearment, which came out when I was 11, I have probably watched to date upwards of 1,000 times. These movies and the characters in them were the literal building blocks of my psyche. Furthermore, after-school TV was my jam. I would plunk myself down with a mixing bowl filled with an entire box of chocolate chip cookie dough mix. Just raw. Dump in a 1/4 gallon of milk, stir, and shovel mouthful after delicious mouthful into my mouth hole until it was gone. All the while filling my mind hole with the very best situation comedy trash that Hollywood could offer me in the form of Punky Brewster, Different Strokes, Silver Spoons, Who's the Boss, and of course we can't forget Little House on the Prairie. I also missed a lot of school, suffering from what I now fully understand was stress-induced chronic illness, and my single mom had to work, leaving me for many days of my youth in the highly incompetent hands of my favorite nursemaid and caretaker, that trusty old TV set. Daytime TV shows, such as Donahue, and pre-recorded adult-themed movies I would cautiously insert into the eternally hungry rectangle in the front of the VCR. There was nothing I wouldn't watch. All of the pro-independent woman storytelling and messaging of the day provided me and my youth with notions of what life is about, what matters in life, and what matters to the life of a burgeoning young woman. As well, these actors playing roles were the role models in the most concrete way for me, for who I would literally become. Movie and television role models are only slightly three-dimensional, making their way through the pre-written 3-act storylines of their movie role lives. But for the most part, these responses to the conflict that comes their way and the jubilation that occurs when they succeed at tackling whatever obstacles the scriptwriters put in their paths are of a limited dimension. There's no way to reflect a multitude of nuance and gray area when the movie is limited to 2 hours maximum, or the show is limited to 30 minutes minus commercial breaks, leaving you about 24 minutes of content. As the viewer, you get to see all the most extreme emotions, from excitement to terror, from love to hate, and from lust to detestation. Life in all of its highest and lowest moments and emotions. The same is true to some extent in the sitcom world, and it didn't just stop there. I continue to be molded and formed by the TV set and the movie screens, and I would also gobble up every bestseller of the day. Going back to about age 8 or so, when my passion for reading books took off truly, I would read anything alternative and anything that told a crazy story of life gone totally off the rails. As I entered my 20s and 30s, and finally my 40s, I was slowly recognizing that the only answers to be found in TV and books were to the kinds of questions that one hopes life won't ever ask them personally. I had made the choice to reject the decision to have biological children, because all I had learned from the decades of media indoctrination told me that I would have my life stolen by this small, greedy being that would never really love me in the end, as I would undoubtedly mess up the job of mothering. I learned you don't need no man to be happy and fulfilled, and you certainly don't wish to parent children with some controlling, overbearing man who would be telling you how to raise said offspring. It never even occurred to me in all of the time and through all of those TV shows and movies that perhaps the very best and most wonderful thing about parenting children is precisely that give and take interaction of love and nurturing that a man and woman provide to their beloved children together. As foolish as I was in every way, I nonetheless wound up being blessed with the possibility of raising my husband's son with him and eventually calling him my own child. I didn't go looking for this and couldn't have imagined wanting this, but I'm so very grateful for it and for him. In my mid-40s, I learned who Jesus is, and I let him change my heart from one of stone to one of flesh. And from there, my entire life changed. Every bit of real-life wisdom I've gained came from him. Every good and honest and loving thing in me came from Jesus. And I often laugh a bit to myself when I speak about my love for Christ, and inevitably someone says to me, "You're just indoctrinated." And I'm like, yeah, I was, but not by Jesus. So let me talk to you about some of the good and wonderful truths that I've learned only since praying for and receiving wisdom, true wisdom, and discernment following my salvation in Christ. So first, there isn't anything that can't be overcome by love. Love is the most important thing you can do in your life. And I mean do, because love is a verb. It's an action, and if you choose to love others truly as you love yourself in every way and at all times, and you do this consistently for as long as you live, your life will become more beautiful, more rich, more fulfilling, and carry more depth and breadth than you could ever imagine in your wildest dreams. If you have a crappy relationship, a crappy marriage, you can change that today. Devote yourself and all of your attention to fulfilling all the things that that person you love has asked from you, but you've avoided with that same inner monologue we all have. No, he or she didn't do XYZ for me, so there's no way I'll do that for them. Make a decision to put all of that aside and just start giving. If they want more cleaning from you, clean more. If they want more quiet from you, give them more quiet. If they want more you-know-what from you, give them more you-know-what. And do it all with a joyful, giving heart and a smile, and expect nothing in return. Just commit yourself to this for literally 2 weeks, because after all, this is your person, right? And you love them. So love them. And don't say a word or even allow yourself to think about their response to it all. Just do it, enjoy it, and sit back and watch what will happen. Often we, speaking to my women especially, try every means to achieve the changes we want to see in our man, including nagging and annoying our partner nonstop for literal decades. And we wonder why we never get what we feel we need from them. Yet we never once lovingly and full-heartedly give them what they're asking for. Try it. I dare you. Do everything as unto the Lord. If things feel hard or challenging or overwhelming at work, even when you're completing your hobbies like painting, if you tend to rush through the process, hoping to achieve the goal, the finished outcome, try slowing down and doing the tasks like they are for God. You see, the thing people, myself included, often miss about God is that everything he asks of us, he asks knowing it will benefit us if we do it his way, because he made us, so he knows what serves us. Yes, you are doing everything as unto God, but in doing such, you're deeply benefiting your own purposes. Try it. Another thing I want to talk about is the idea that we so often feel there are things we can't achieve, goals we can't conquer, and milestones we can't hit because other people. What I've found is that I'm far more destructive to myself than anyone on the outside could ever be. I'm the one who most often defeats my own dreams, erects my own barriers that stand in the way of my own fulfillment. Around the time that I met Jesus, I decided that I would no longer stand in my own way, nor would I let anyone else stand in my way of going for the things that seem hard or seem embarrassing, like making a YouTube channel at age 50. If somebody wants to try to be a problem in my life, I've learned that if I go about my interests and my passions with even more enthusiasm and joy and excitement than the negative stuff coming off of other people, they tend to just go away and hide in the shadows because they don't want to be around that kind of energy. And I'm the only one who can make stuff happen for myself. Now, God is 100% in control, of course, but I have also been given free will and agency over my own life and my own choices. And if I choose to act like I don't, and I choose to wallow in the pity that brings, well, I have all of one person to blame, and that's me. And if you're doing that, I'm going to urge you to stop. And I want to leave you with this. Maybe try to stop wishing it was all easier. Stop wishing it would happen faster. Stop wishing the struggle away. This is the part of your story where you build the resilience, the discipline, and the self-respect. The part where you shed who you were and where you become who you're meant to be. Skip the hard and you skip the growth. Skip the weight and you skip the wisdom. You don't become strong by making the weight lighter. You become strong by lifting it day after day, week after week, until one day you look up at the mirror and meet the version of you you've been chasing all along. I'm so glad you were here with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I hope that you have an absolutely beautiful day. Bye-bye.